phone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
Co-founder Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs.
It's 2007 in San Francisco. Outside Moscone Center, crowds gather. On stage, Steve Jobs holds a device that will change the world. Today, Apple reinvents the phone. He announces to roaring applause. Jobs was more than a tech genius. He shaped the future. But his path wasn't easy. From an adopted boy to building and losing an empire, then returning to save it. We'll dive into the contradictions of his personality, both inspiring and challenging. Ready to see beyond the products? This story might change how you view Steve Jobs and make you question the cost of success and what genius really means. Was his way the only way to change the world? Or a cautionary tale for future innovators? Steve Paul Jobs was born on February 24, 1955, in San Francisco. His biological parents, Joanne Schiebel and Abdel Fattah Jandali, were unprepared to raise him and placed him for adoption. Initially, a lawyer couple planned to adopt him but changed their minds last minute, leading Steve to join Paul and Clara Jobs, a working-class couple in Mountain View. Joanne only approved after they promised to send Steve to college, a vow that shaped his future. Growing up in what would become Silicon Valley, Steve developed an early appreciation for craftsmanship, inspired by his father's work. Though deeply loved, Steve always knew he was adopted, which made him feel both special and abandoned, a tension that fueled his drive. In school, Steve was brilliant but restless, often a troublemaker, until a teacher, Mrs. Hill, motivated him with 5 per solved math problem. As a teen, he became fascinated with electronics, meeting Steve Wozniak at Hewlett-Packard. Together, they built blue boxes that allowed free long-distance calls. Selling about 100 and getting their first entrepreneurial taste, Steve briefly attended Reed College, but dropped out due to financial concerns, though he audited classes like calligraphy, later inspiring Macintosh fonts. During this time, he experimented with LSD and explored Zen Buddhism, experiences that deeply influenced his worldview and design philosophy. Back in California, Steve worked at Atari, improving the game Breakout Circuit with Wozniak. Though Atari paid $50, Jobs told Wozniak they earned only $700 and split it, revealing his complex mix of vision, ambition, and occasional bending of the truth. 1976 was a turning point for Steve Jobs. With Steve Wozniak, he founded Apple Computer in his parents' garage. Their first product, the Apple I, was a simple circuit board needing external parts. After Wozniak showed it at the Homebrew Computer Club, Jobs saw its potential and secured a 25-0 order from Paul Terrell's Byte Shop. To fund this, Jobs mortgaged his van and Wozniak sold his calculator. They assembled the units in 30 days. Building on that, they created the Apple II, the first personal computer in a stylish plastic case with color graphics and a built-in keyboard. Running the groundbreaking spreadsheet software VisiCalc, Apple quickly outpaced rivals. And by 1980, revenue hit $117 million. When Apple went public that December, shares soared, making 25-year-old Jobs a multi-millionaire overnight. But success brought pressure. Jobs became known for his demanding perfectionism, firing people on the spot and obsessing over tiny design details. In 1983, Jobs recruited Pepsi CEO John Sculley with a famous pitch to change the world, but Sculley later played a key role in Jobs' downfall. In 1984, Apple launched the Macintosh with its revolutionary graphical interface, promoted by the iconic 1984 Super Bowl ad. However, high price and limited features hurt sales. Tensions escalated between Jobs and Sculley over pricing and focus. By 1985, after Jobs tried to oust Sculley, the board backed Sculley and stripped Jobs of his power. Jobs resigned in September, selling most of his shares but keeping one to attend meetings. After leaving Apple, Jobs didn't give up. He founded NextT Computer, targeting education and business markets. Though technologically advanced, NextT machines were expensive, starting at $6,500 and retailing near $10,000, limiting sales. Notably, Tim Berners-Lee used a NextT computer to develop the World Wide Web, revolutionizing internet access. In 1986, Jobs bought Lucasfilm's computer graphics division for $10 million, creating Pixar. Initially focused on high-end computers for 3D animation, Pixar shifted to making animated films after struggling commercially. In 1995, Pixar's Toy Story, the first full-length computer animated film, became a huge hit, grossing $373 million and boosting Pixar's stock, making Jobs a billionaire. By 2019, Pixar's films had grossed around $14 billion worldwide. Want to dive deeper into Steve Jobs' life? Listen to the full audiobook now. Tap the link in bio. Meanwhile, Apple was struggling, losing money and market share. In 1997, Apple bought NXT for $429 million, bringing Jobs back as interim CEO. His return sparked a major turnaround. He cut many projects and focused on innovation. The 1998 iMac, with its bold design and simplicity, sold over 6 million units, restoring Apple's finances. Jobs also forged a vital partnership with Microsoft, securing a $150 million investment that stabilized Apple. He then led the digital revolution with the iPod, 2001, and iTunes Store, 2003. The iPod became the top-selling music player, selling over 400 million units by 2014, while iTunes transformed music distribution. Jobs' return didn't just save Apple. It launched a new era of groundbreaking products that shaped technology and entertainment for years to come. In 2007, Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, a magical product that combined a phone, iPod, and internet device. With its revolutionary touchscreen and app ecosystem, it transformed how we use technology. The first iPhone featured a 3.5-inch screen, 2MP camera, and ran on iOS with Safari and iTunes integration. Though many iPhone ideas weren't new, touchscreens and icon interfaces existed before. Apple perfected them, making the device intuitive and popular. Jobs' presentation, highlighting simple gestures like scrolling with a finger, captivated audiences. The iPhone sold 270,000 units the first weekend, and by 2010 generated nearly 40% of Apple's revenue. In 2010, Jobs introduced the iPad, bridging smartphones and laptops. In 2010, Jobs introduced the iPad, bridging smartphones and laptops. While Apple borrowed ideas, like the Macintosh's GUI inspired by Xerox PARC, Jobs' genius was turning existing tech into revolutionary products people loved. Under his leadership, Apple refined and integrated concepts that reshaped the tech world. Steve Jobs' personal life was as complex as his career. In the 1970s, he had a turbulent relationship with Kristen Brennan, whom he met in high school. In 1978, she gave birth to their daughter, Lisa, but Jobs denied paternity for years, despite a positive test. The Apple Lisa computer was named after her, though Jobs claimed it stood for Local Integrated Software Architecture. After their breakup, Brennan raised Lisa mostly alone, while Jobs focused on Apple and provided little support. He later reconnected with Lisa through his future wife, Lorene Powell, and Lisa lived with them as a teen. Jobs met Lorene in 1989 at a Stanford lecture, and they married in 1991. They had 3 children together, Reed, Aaron, and Eve. Jobs kept his family life private, shielding them from the media. In 2003, Jobs was diagnosed with a rare pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor. He delayed surgery for 9 months, favoring alternative treatments and a vegan diet. Influenced by his belief in natural remedies and his famous reality distortion field, this delay worsened his prognosis. In 2009, Jobs had a liver transplant, rumored to be expedited by his status. He continued to work despite frailty, overseeing products like the iPad. In August 2011, he resigned as Apple CEO, writing that he could no longer meet his duties. Jobs died on October 5, 2011, aged 56. His last whispered words, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow," remain a poignant mystery. Steve Jobs was full of striking contradictions. He had a rare foresight to predict tech trends and design products people didn't yet know they wanted. This came from his deep understanding of human psychology, knowing people craved simplicity and elegance, even if they didn't realize it. His wide interests, from calligraphy to Zen Buddhism, gave him a unique perspective, allowing him to connect unrelated ideas and apply them to technology. Plus, his experience in the tech industry gave him sharp insight into innovation. But Jobs could also be ruthless and demanding. His drive for perfection and belief that only he knew what was best pushed people hard, sometimes too hard. His reality distortion field convinced others to pursue impossible goals, but sometimes led to selfishness and dismissal of others' views. Former Apple employees recalled his fiery temper and harsh public critiques, even calling work complete shit if it didn't meet his standards. His perfectionism was legendary-like, demanding a last-minute iMac redesign over the shade of blue. Unlike many billionaires, Jobs was unconventional in philanthropy. When he returned to Apple in 1997, he cut all charitable programs, believing the best way to contribute was through Apple's success. Steve Jobs' impact on technology is immense. He didn't just create products, he reshaped culture. The iPhone didn't just change smartphones. It transformed how we communicate, work, and entertain. Under Jobs, Apple became more than a tech company, it turned into an iconic lifestyle brand. Fans lined up for hours to get the latest iPhone or iPad, making Apple devices symbols of status and style. Jobs influenced many industries. The Apple II and Macintosh brought personal computing to the masses. Pixar launched the first full-length computer, animated film. The iPod and iTunes changed how we listen to music. The iPhone redefined smartphones, and the iPad created a new device category. Jobs was also a master showman. His Apple presentations became legendary, sparking excitement with just a few words, like calling the iPod 1,000 songs in your pocket. Steve Jobs' life teaches entrepreneurs the power of focus, creativity, and challenging norms. He believed success comes from saying no to distractions, to focus on what truly matters, seen when he streamlined Apple's products. He valued exceptional user experience, insisting technology be intuitive and beautiful, sparking a design revolution. Jobs also believed innovation arises where technology meets humanities, guiding his work at Apple and Pixar. Above all, he showed passion is vital, often saying great work comes from loving what you do, a drive that helped him overcome many challenges. Steve Jobs transformed technology and culture with his passion for innovation. Though often ruthless and demanding, his obsession with perfection led to iconic products like the Apple computer and iPhone. He changed how we see tech, not just as tools, but as extensions of ourselves. In his 2005 Stanford speech, he urged, "Don't waste your time living someone else's life." Jobs' story is about believing in your vision, even against doubt. What do you think drove his success? Vision, perfectionism, or inspiration? Did his upbringing influence him? Which Jobs product impacted you most? Like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.